I'm going to try to do this, and I'm calling it the high dive. I'm on that high dive, a creative high dive where trying to do things and tell a story is what I'm getting ready to do here. When I first posted two things of the paranormal here, I always say kiss of death for a small channel. Because most times people do things of that nature to do things to convince people of the paranormal. And that's not the intent. That is the inspiration of telling a story. I always say creatively, I'm on a high dive. Because trying to do what's called game of four and then explain what's the inspiration, what's the writing style, why are the characters are I'm depicting from my head something difficult to convey as a writing style or a visual style, and then trying to look at the 30 people following this channel. I said, thank you. But trying to convey something as an artist and trying to say, what are you trying to do with the format? This is Moody Hope, and I always call her the wife. I always go running to the wife when I say to the wife, you are inspiration, and your ghost friend is called Hope. A little midget. Your midget ghost friend. Okay? I don't call you a midget. The other part is your ass. The game I was playing at the time when I first recorded that was called Dark Souls 3. And the wife this is the wife. That's way again. Because basically, the problem is what's been inspirational in trying to explain some of that is the inspiration to try to do a story idea artistically in some ways, and saying as a younger man, there's always a way to do things when you're picking up a beer and someone says, here's a typewriter, here's an outline, and dude, go at it the old fashioned way. As an older person trying to tell a story, there's no way to do it like that. There's no way to do it. The reason is very simple. When I use fantasy as a younger person, it's called creative writing. As an older person, it's called survival. You're surviving. And when you survive, you use fantasy to escape. But trying to tell a story like this one is where you say the word AI. And a lot of AI say, well, there's a possibility I can pull it off. Wife, huh? You can probably pull it off. Because there's too many characters, and there's a lot of characters you love, and you're saying, trying to take the brush and paint strokes at this age comes naturally because I'm still in survival mode. And do you have a story to tell? And the answer is yes, I do. And I'm getting ready to tell that story. The last time I allowed myself to use the word cheat, I'm on the high dive, I'm looking down, and I'm terrified. I'm terrified because basically the problem with Derby Girl and trying to tell that story is always was complicated anyway. The first idea for Derby Girl came way back, I do believe, from Live's um, album that came out, and the video was called Lightning Crashes. I think was inspiration. The first character, I think, was '94, and then from anime, it was Sailor Moon. Big fan of anime. And in '98 was Toonami. Then different types of inspiration. Um, Evangelion. You look at Serial Experiments Lane. And, there's books, great books. Stranger in a Strange Land. There's uh, um, Frank Herbert's Dune. Herman Hesse. So there's a lot of books, comics, books, literature, art that I take inspiration from. Originally, when I first did this idea was way back in '98. My drafting table was drawings, an idea, and then all of a sudden, like most people have ideas, constantly going to cons and always looking at other people with their talents and always admiration and always choking on, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I was younger and somehow I could pick up a pencil and draw. And always the whole thing is I've got a good character, probably I always say to myself, the best character no one's ever heard of, Derby Girl. And I said, I can probably pull it off, but the problem is, do you want to go back to school again? Do you want to spend time chasing after another college degree to do this idea? No, I don't want to. But then along comes something interesting. It's called AI. And I always scream at other people who look at AI and say, no, it's just what it is. But sometimes something comes along, a talent, that pushes AI. And I like being that some person that says, I like to prove that something, say that as a tool for discovery, AI is something that gives me a chance to pull this off. In 2020 is when I call the paranormal came into play. That original idea was black holes, someone of a biker, someone who actually was running a dance hall, or this particular thing I call the Odyssey, that idea turned into something more complex. When things came to my house, and always posting that content is not about anyone trying to believe me or say you're claiming this is supernatural, or it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The idea is trying to take what that is and those characters and put that into something of idea to tell a story. The different styles, the different renditions, the music itself, the inspiration, the characters. And then I started doing that recently through shorts. And everything's telling me the same thing. Go for it. Do it. Because basically, I still say venting and trying to do art in whatever way it comes out of me is still something for the platform. It's not about trying to be monetized. Who follows me or not with this idea, I have no idea. Trying to do Derby Girl and trying to push the content that way, I already started. So I started doing my characters here slowly but surely as shorts. And part of me says the other part of this is trying to push, explain the style of writing this is. Will I have to use some of this stuff as far as using some of the gaming platforms? I probably will, because I still say at the same time, I can't write this on a typewriter. I cannot do it. I cannot do outlines. I cannot do chapters. I'm too old for now to do that. So trying to tell a story is trying to act it out. And always, forgive me because I do this. I'm doing it in a way which is ad-libbing, and then trying to do it as theater, and then trying to do it with AI. And then, of course, with all the things with AI comes the problems come in. The fact is, and I'm telling a story like this one, you never had a chance anyway. Too bizarre. It's too bizarre because it's about ideas. I always say being a James Cameron, not for the effects, but for ideas. So I'm James Cameron in a sense, and say if you had James Cameron's talent, not for tech, but for ideas, and you said, let me try to take like maybe 3 book ideas and throw them at people, and then try to present that platform in such a way where people have to react to something that you're never going to get I call the idea itself, because basically the problem is too many ideas, too confusing, but the inspiration and the devotion to art is where I'm coming from. I'm on a high dive. I'm looking down. I've always come to this point in time that says, let me try doing Derby Girl and have 50 billion beers in me. And let me try doing that idea. Let me try drawing it. That's a flop. Can you tell as a writer? That's a flop. But with AI, could you do it through AI? Can you push the ideas of imagination through AI and tell a good story? And the answer is, I think I can. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is my last cheat. I'm on the high dive. I'm going off. I'm probably going to do a great belly flop because I'm trying to tell a story. The inspiration from what I'm trying to do comes from the paranormal, comes from science and books, comes from many things over. Trying to do this is probably going to be, I call a big fat belly flop. Because basically, YouTube is a platform to become monetized. I wish I could be monetized in a sense, but I'd rather do this for art. Thank you.